Hi, everyone. Welcome to another SASBOSS 2.0 webinar with today. I've got Mitch joining me from the solutions team who helped me take you through some demos. And what we're talking about today is the porting orders and reporting pages that have been updated to SASBOSS 2.0.
So we'll run through a bit of presentation, what's changed, and then we'll go through a bit of a live demonstration around that as well. If you do have any questions as we go, please feel free to throw them in the Q&A section of the Zoom webinar, and we'll answer those at the end. But I think we'll kick it off.
Let's kick it off. All right. So these changes are coming through live on Monday. So for those coming to the conference, that's the first day of the conference for everyone. We'll be going live into SASBOSS. So what are we doing? As I mentioned before, it's a UX UI update. So taking all the pages that are currently SASBOSS, what we call internally 1.0, there's that standard original format, and then making them into the sleek 2.0 updates. So always, all these enhancements are about improving your usability, making navigation easier, making it easier to put information in, read information, but overall making it more efficient for you to use SASBOSS.
Definitely. I do also like that we are launching this on the same day as the first day of the conference. So anyone who can't attend the conference does still get something to look forward to on Monday.
You do. Gifts for everyone. That's right. So for the porting orders area, it's the porting orders main page where you see the list of all your porting orders. It's also the request new DIDs modal. So that's on the porting orders page, was also in the DID inventory pages. So both places that's being updated. The create porting order, what we call the wizard, with the modal through there, that steps you through creating a porting order, and the view porting order. So those are all being updated. So the entire porting orders area, it will be 2.0. And then from the reporting side is the agency reports, and if you have them, and then the customer invoices reports have all been updated to 2.0 too. So what does that look like? For reporting orders, as you can see here, it's the same page. It's still a table with all the information you need, but we've made it streamlined and easier to access. So far more filters across the top, easier to find what you're looking for and read the information too. So going across, you can still have your the IDs, your types, the customer, which also links off to the customer area. So quick navigation there. Much easier to see dates for created and modified. And then also going across, it's much easier to see the scheduled dates, booking dates, and the status.
I do like the fact that you can filter on the scheduled date as well. So you can say, booked in, you can filter by that, make sure they are in the order, you know when they're coming through, so you can action that yourselves, what that looks like from that side of things as well. Much easier, a lot more being able to filter, and a lot more ways of viewing that information out of simpler interface. It's very nice.
And also the search is searching all those columns as well. So if you're looking for and you want to find your verified status reports, it'll come up and you put verified in, it'll come up with all of those. If you want to find all the customers or porting orders for a customer called Vicky, you can put Vicky in and it will filter to all of them very easily and very quickly. So that takes us through to the next section, which is the request new DIDs. So if I just go back quickly, that's this first button here, request new DID numbers. So that brings up what is currently a modal. So this is now still a modal, but much easier to use. So there's a few call outs that I want to make on some of the improved features that have changed slightly. So the first one is who you're purchasing it for. So first of all, this is a slight language change, but nothing actually happens that's different in the back end. It's just making it easy to understand what you're doing. So you can either purchase for your reseller inventory, so straight into your inventory, or directly for the customer. So as you can see, the two different modals here, that's what's happened. So you've either selected my resale inventory on the left-hand side, you get all of that information. And then if you pick customer, it then asks you which customer and what their address is.
I do like how when you do select the customer, it now imports the address from the group as well. So for those who have already created all your groups, ordering numbers for those sites, you don't have to re-enter the addresses or anything like that. You don't have to go scourging through your CRMs or whatever it is to try and find that information again. But the details are already in the group, hit import address from group and it's already coming across. So it makes that so much faster to go through that process now as well.
Exactly. We've also made some slight UI changes to when you're requesting the number types and the number size to make it easier to understand how much you are getting and what you're getting. And then going through, it's just a streamline and put the comments through much quicker. And then you can submit that. Moving on next to the create porting order request. So this is what I referred as the wizard that steps you through the process to do it. Again, 2.0ified of all the fonts and reorganizing everything so it's, again, easy to read, not quite so long to scroll through and fill the information out. We've streamlined and removed as much as we can, so you don't have to put as much information in, but all the core required ones are still there. But what we've also done is if you don't really do porting orders very often or are new to putting porting orders through, there's a good amount of information on the right-hand side there to explain what you're selecting, why you're selecting it, so you can feel confident putting that through.
Definitely. I do like how this is something that we modified probably 12, 18 months ago. We had some changes to the porting order form, and we've kind of just built upon that, made it like, yes, updated to the full 2.0 interface, but also still use that feedback from the previous iteration to just build upon that as well. So it's ways of us showing that we are still, yes, we've made changes in the past. We haven't finished with those. We're still going to be updating things, making things better from that process and streamlining that process for our partners as well. So.
Yeah. Always innovating.
Definitely.
Always. And we're always taking feedback from you guys on what you would like to see and changed. So when we came through and did that original change 18 months ago, I think you're right. I think it might have been 18 months ago. And we put a lot of those improvements through. That was from partner feedback. And again, when we were redesigning this, we knew we were going to make some UI changes. What else can we improve here? We spoke to a number of partners and had their requests. So that's all coming through, really, really partner driven. So we'll continue to improve it for you. Onto the next area. So once you've put your porting order through, you can then view the order itself. So all the information that you put through in the porting order request, that's now here. So most of this is mostly a UI change, and not a lot has been taken away or necessarily added here. Rearranged, so it's easy to read. All the important information is brought to the top and can see really easily at a glance. Changes to the statuses across the top, so that's now easier to step through and see, and 2.0ified. What else? I like 2.0ified. It's
yeah, it's a great term.
Yeah, it's good. It is. What I'm really excited about when we were designing this page was the order log. So the order log, obviously a very important spot. It's the record of all the things that have changed, and you can go back and check everything and what needs to be requested. But it was kind of hard to read, at least in my opinion, looking at it.
I agree with that.
There was.
And going off that new interface that we're seeing on the screen right there, it's a lot better from what we can see.
That's it. So that's it on the right. So at the actual bottom of the order itself, you can see the order log on the left-hand side. This is it expanded and blown up on the right-hand side. It's not a separate section. But when you open up that accordion, so it shows you all the information there, it now appears like this. So where you had a lot of pop-outs, so you had to click it, it would take you to some more information or something like that, and it was kind of a bit disjointed and disconnected. That's now all included and inside here. And it's a lot easier to see what the information was, who sent it, when it was, and the type of information. So all of that is now with icons, color-coded, and clearly put in together. There is also, for some kinds of messages that have follow-on or attachments, there's an expand and collapse on the right-hand side. So we'll show that in the demo, but up here, this is currently in expanded form. You sort of collapse and you can see, I think that's the sub context of each of those. So yeah, I really enjoyed that with the team.
It's going to be much better. And color coding as well. So you can see what's been done by your teams, what's been done by our teams as well. So you can have that quick view, scroll through it, makes things much easier to read from that perspective as well.
Brilliant. All right. So we're going to go to the live demos just after this, but we'll just quickly go through the reporting pages. So not everyone has agency reports, but if you do, basically everything that lives under the reports section menu on the left-hand side has been 2.0ified. I'm keeping with it, 2.0ified. So again, these are all tables that have links to export to your reports on the right-hand side. So none of the functionality has changed. Easier to sort, easier to search and find what you're looking for, but mostly just a font and button change. Again, using all the brand management. So if you're using a platform domain, you've changed this to your colors and logos, this will all appear like that. And then same for customer invoices. Again, no functionality changes, mostly just UI, so easier to read and interact with.
Definitely. I do like the fact that it does still keep that same UI change we talked about 3 months ago when we launched that one.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have rebranded it, you're doing your own domain, your own color schemes, things like that, still brings that across as well. So that still flows across to what we're talking about this week, and following SASBOSS 2.0 webinars as well. So we haven't removed any of previous functionality, but the demos we're doing would always be in the Access 4 color formats, things like that as well.
Of course. Yeah. So it's all in the Access 4 comment as you said, format and styling. But every new place that we build out with 2.0, that will always come with your design and color preferences. All right. So we're going to go into a live demo now. All right. So just minimize that to get more space back. All right. So this is porting orders, as you saw before. So we're on a Microsoft Surface, so the resolution's a little smaller than probably what you're used to using. But as you can see, it's a responsive design, so it all scales as you would expect. So coming down, looking at the table, again, as we showed, all the same information is there. I can click the ID, it'll open the order for me. Clicking the customer will take me directly to the customer area. And again, I can sort and filter on everything. If I want to see all of my Cat A's, I can. It's super, super fast, which is one of the things I really like about the new 2.0 pages. Every time we change it, it really improves the speed. But again, I can sort and filter as I like. Again, the search area will do the exact same thing for me. So if I go here, now I type Vicky. Again, really quickly, all the customers have come through that have that one.
I do like the more bold or visual way of seeing with a created date as well. You are still getting the time in there, but most of the time date's what you're really caring about. And same with modified. Has there been an update recently? Do I need to go in and check what that is? If there is an update, where was it emailed? If I didn't get it myself, kind of situation as well, all of that. So you can filter by that as well. So you can see which one's been modified by when, and make sure you're always getting the latest information at the top.
That's right. That's right. All right. So across the top, so you still got, I think it's a bit washed out, but you can still see all your losing carrier booking dates. So we'll go straight into requesting a new DID.
Definitely.
All right. So jump in there, and then the request new DID comes up. So it defaults to purchasing for your reseller inventory. We'll go straight into reseller inventory, but I can go and change to customer as I like. So going through, as Mitch, not Matt, you're Mitch. Mitch mentioned.
I know this was meant to be co-hosted by Matt, but no.
Mitch. You can always import the address, so much easier. You can put it in manually, totally fine to do, but much quicker. I can just click that and move straight on, come straight through really easily. And again, you can check if it's just right. If it's not, you can just override it. So going through.
And when you're doing that on a customer level as well, it will prompt you for which group. So if they do have multiple sites, it will ask you which site, so you can still import that address from different sites as well. So very useful from that side of things.
So I can through and select my thing, and I can import from there. Perfect. All right, so going through and selecting what I want to purchase. So let's say an Australian standard number. And so right now,
and that drop down of number types and what you can order hasn't changed either.
No.
So those international toll-free services are still in there. You still have all your options for Australia, New Zealand. All of that hasn't changed either. So very nice from that perspective. Also, the filter at the top there, people don't realize that is there. Very useful when you are searching for those international numbers or 1-800 numbers, things like that. Type it in, makes it much easier to grab it.
So it defaults to group size 1, as it always has. And then you see the 1 times here. If I change that to 10, it will then go up and I can select my quantity. Let's say I want 5. All right, so now I have 10 times, because I selected my group size of 10 times 5. So I get a total of 50 numbers. All right, then I can put my pattern if I want to and search for numbers, or I don't have to put the pattern at all because it's optional. Here's the numbers in my ranges, and then I'll select this one. All right, and then this is my reservation expiry time, then product. So it's locked in there, pre-filled for me, nice and easy. Put my comments in if I like. As always, there's the help, so I can have some support here, or I can just go through and buy the numbers. And I'm not going to submit it because I don't want to have to go cancel at the point team afterwards.
I thought you did just click that button there. My heart skipped a beat. But yeah, so we're not going to order any numbers at the moment, but it's still that same process. Super simple to jump in and grab those numbers when you need to.
Exactly. All right, so that's new DID numbers. And that will come through and then live in your DID inventory.
Yep.
So let's go on to create a porting order. So again, fast. Going through the wizard, go through, and again, same process, just streamlined. So I select my customer. Oh, and you're the primary contact.
Apparently.
Yeah. I can put my secondary contact if I want to. You don't have to, it is optional. But for those who do like having a secondary contact, it's there. Little call out for the L&D team. If you aren't comfortable with the porting request or you haven't done one before, you can always click here and it will take you through to a nice course that steps you through it and teaches you everything. So going through, and again, so this used to have quite a lot of steps in it. We're really trying to streamline. So porting type, so you can have Australia, New Zealand. I can do my number type. Then straight through to account details. So let's see.
So once again, this process hasn't changed, just much more streamlined, simpler to fill out. Also condensing it a lot as well. The old form took up a lot of space, there was a lot of blank space, things like that. Just making this a bit easier to read and when you are going through this process.
Yeah, so a lot of this information currently sits underneath these, and it's, you know, it means it's a really long form, and not everyone wants to read it. It's kind of off to the side. If you're comfortable doing it, you're probably just going to buzz straight through this. But others who want to read it and see what it really lines up to, this makes it much easier.
Exactly, it's great.
So going through, I put the account details in. Now I request my invoice. So as always, please, you know, when you are filling these out, having these ready to go makes this much, much easier. You can get through a porting request really, really quickly when you're set up to go through it.
Definitely. Same with your letter of authority form there as well. I do like how it's in yellow, it's bold, making sure you do read it. If you don't know what one is a very key thing. So if you don't know what a letter of authority form is, I do highly recommend reading that. There's a template on the PRC as well. Very important, can very much so save time and speed up porting processes when it's needed.
Again, I can import my address from the customer. So nice. Rather than to fill it in. Putting numbers. So here's where we've made a few changes to make this clearer and more understandable. So you can't do mixed porting orders. That will just get sort of rejected back to you. So what you do is you select the type you do, and then you add, and then you can put it through. But if I was to, and let's just put some numbers in. So that I got a number there. If I then try and do, actually that might be okay, but that's a fake test one. And I go try and do that and I add it.
It is a complex port.
It becomes a complex port, exactly. And I can put other numbers in here. Ooh, numbers.
Numbers are not letters.
And then I get my range, and it instantly fills that in for me. And if I want to remove that, I can, and just put click the bit on either of those. So that's really, really nice.
I do like that when you put in the first number of that range, it does automatically give you the last number, so you can double check that. Some ranges can be, you may have a customer who may have multiple 10-number ranges, and on an invoice it could say 40. It's technically 4 10s. That's how you would enter those into our system as well. So just be aware of those kinds of little things as well. Very useful.
So I can say if it has complex services.
Is it complex? This one already would be complex port anyway. It has a 10-number range already classified as that, but if it's a single and has one of those services, it could be still classified as complex.
Yep. Has exchange based diversion been completed? Yes, no, pending. Let's say it's pending. The option to import numbers, which we won't do here. And then, as always, the requested porting date. So I can put my date in, it does default, or I can click ASAP.
And I do like how you still get the request a specific time as well. So if you do want it to happen at a specific time, maybe you want it to happen before business hours kind of situation, let us know. We can try and work with that as well.
The important thing to call out here, and it's in this warning, times are displayed in the carrier's local time. All right, so won't have that. Oh, no, I didn't give it a valid number.
I think you're missing a digit.
Yeah, I'm missing Victoria. All right, and now you can review and submit. So all the information you filled in, again, easy to see. So this is still quite long, but as a user experience, it's much easier to just read down than trying to read across. So this is just a list, basically just tick, tick, tick as you scan through. You can add any comments you like here, and then it's you have written authority to authorize this, yes or no, mandatory item.
Hopefully you do have authority.
Exactly.
Previously, step 5 was just comments. So we have removed an entire step from this process as well, which you would have clicked through. Most of the time, you probably didn't put anything in. So it's just helping that streamline that little bit as well. So you still can implement those comments before putting in the port and everything like that. it's still there, but just making it a little bit easier. It's removing an extra click when not needed.
Exactly. All right, so again, we won't submit it because I have to go back to the point team and have it removed afterwards. So the last piece here is viewing one. So let's have a look at one that is live. Let's try this one. All right, so this is a verified port currently sitting here. So you can tell because it's got the verified status across the top, and then all the information that would have been submitted is right here. You can see how many reschedules have been requested. Again, we brought that out earlier this year. But otherwise, very easy to see information. Click edit to go through, and here we go.
And you can still grab those attachments out as well. So if someone
Yes.
has attached something and you just want to double check, maybe our porting team came back and asked a question, something like that, you can make sure that it is the correct letter of authority that got uploaded or the correct invoice that you're meant to get uploaded as well. So you can always come back and double check those.
You can. So all those actions live across the top here. So you can
update those documents.
Comments. Yep.
Update those documents. Yeah, everything like that.
Exactly. So coming down to the order log, which we mentioned earlier. So all the things that go back and forth are here. So notifications or actual emails that have come through, and you can see all of those. Again, as Mitch said, it's color coded, which makes it much easier to see what's relevant to you. And then the expand and collapse. So you can see what the actual information was in that notification.
I do like saying received an email. Perfect. If it's an email from yourself, you probably don't need to read that all the time. So when you are coming back in here, you probably don't need to read your own emails. You know what you were sent. You can scroll down and see our emails out. Those aren't collapsed. Makes that a bit easier as well. So it is just making it much easier to come in here and grab the information you need when you do need it.
Exactly. All right. So the only other functionality here is the export, which has, it does as it always does. It exports this list into a CSV. So let's go on to the reporting area. So this particular partner does have agencies, so we can go and have a look at that. So this is the table. Again, it's just the 2.0 design styling with all of your reporting buttons to the left there. And then if I go to the customer invoices, the same thing. So all of your reports are still available, just the 2.0 design update.
Which is much nicer from that side. Also, the search in the top right as well. So if you know which filter, which report you're looking for, tap it in there, find the exact one you want. Makes that much easier as well, rather than, yes, it could be muscle memory by this point to know that's the 5th report down kind of situation, but just that little bit easier to search for those who aren't familiar with which one in the list it is and things like that as well. Exactly. Awesome. We did have a question come through, so I'll jump back across. If anyone does have any more questions, please feel free to throw them in the Q&A section at the moment, and we'll run through those. But if purchasing numbers for a customer, are we able to put the number into the resale inventory at a later date?
Right. So moving from the customer into the reseller?
Yep. So yes, you can. There's no problem with that. You would have to still quarantine it between customers. So that still is part of the regulation from ACMA. So when you are removing it, if it's been used, it'll put it into a quarantine state for 6 months. Just be aware of that. But you can move numbers between customers if need be.
Yeah, as always. So yeah, no changes have happened to the functionality of those. All the same porting rules and functionality and business logic still exist. Exactly.
It's the only question we've had come through. If anyone does have any, we'll give it another minute just while we do wait for a few things. But I haven't told Anne I'm going to ask this question.
Oh, wow.
So what's next?
What's next? Okay, great question. So you're making me say before the conference. All right, so yeah, no, lots of things are coming up next for SASBOSS 2.0 rollout. So as you might imagine, following porting orders, DID inventory is the next thing up. So that's actually currently in development right now. So porting orders going live on Monday, so 16th of September. Then the next thing is DID inventory. So main page, all the different modules, menu items, allocate, assign, all of those ones. Those will all be updated to 2.0. After that, we're actually working on something pretty special. So we're working on a new reseller area experience. So similar to how the customer area got updated and it had the tabs and you can access and navigate around easy and all the stuff is kind of in the one space. You don't have to move around between the main menu of SASBOSS. We're doing a similar thing for reseller, but taking all the learnings from the customer area and building upon that. So the reseller area is going to, instead of just being that modal, so the update reseller modal, there'll be a whole area with its tabs as well. So Manage Resale is going to get a massive refresh, including some really nice tiles and dashboarding. There will be better access to logins to manage and update your logins. The same thing will happen for customer area. There'll be legal documents and management. So instead, all your documents, so the partner agreement, everything you sign with us, you'll be able to see those. You'll be able to see their effective dates, any updates, letters of variation that come through, who accepted it, when it accepted it. So much more compliance obligations will be much easier to meet that way. There will also be a communications area, so you can see all of where the emails go through and how they get sent out, how notifications get sent out, and what your defaults are for that. And it'll also be a customer default settings section area. So that's going to be your toll fraud and your international call barring. So all of those are currently sitting in menus, and we were noticing that those are really important areas and they do get a fair bit of traffic, but some people don't know that they're kind of hidden and you don't always get to access them very easily. So talking to partners and talking to our internal, including Mitch, say, please bring this out a bit closer. We want to be able to access this easier and keep this really present for ourselves. So that's also coming to the front.
I'm excited. I actually did not know what was coming next, so that was great. So I am excited to see what's coming and what will be coming out in approximately 3 months' time, based on how often we've been doing these webinars.
Yes, so those will be spaced out slightly more. The resale area is a really, really big piece of work because we're bringing in new data sources. We're making those sort of tiles and easy to access jump off points. So that won't be 3 months. Data inventory certainly will be. Resale area. And the one after that is actually a new support experience too. So where you're lodging your tickets with us, making that a much easier experience too, which again, we did a recent update for that, I think a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
So again, continue to build upon that area.
It's awesome. No other questions have come through, so we do appreciate everyone who's jumped on today. For those of you who are coming to the conference next week, we'll look forward to seeing you. More of this kind of presentations and what Anne just spoke about, what's coming next, will definitely be being presented in some format or not. And for those who aren't, we'll see you in 3 months or approximately 3 months for the next one of these updates.
Thank you all. See you.